What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. In this video today, we're doing something very similar to a video that I made a couple of weeks ago, talking about like the best free-to-play characters, but for this time, we're going to be talking about Coliseum characters. Ever since that other video came out about raid bosses, so many people have been asking about Coliseums, and I can understand why people would be saying that, because as I was compiling this list together, like this is over 100 different Coliseums on global. I believe it was 103 different Coliseums. That's a lot. So it might seem overwhelming, you know, seeing all these different characters. You don't know which one is good or which one you should be farming for. Funny thing is that a majority of these characters are characters you're basically never ever going to use. It's pretty funny how it works that way. Only a very, very small margin of these characters are actually like usable top tier free-to-play units. A lot of them are pretty bad. So in this video today, I want to give you guys the quick distinction about all of these units. I'm not going to talk about all of them in greater detail because so many of them are just really bad. I'm just going to be chucking them in the list. When we get to characters that are a little bit more divisive or characters that are really, really good, we'll talk about why they are good. So without further ado, let's get into it. We're going to start from the very start and make our way all the way down to the most recent Coliseum, right? So Lucky Roo, he's trash. Rebecca, trash. Urug, trash. Hina, trash. Smoker is, I wouldn't say he's a completely trash. He's a 1.75 orb booster. So if you need a good orb booster and he's available, I'd say he's okay, but there are just so many other better characters. Hawkins is also kind of niche because he gives you your top row strength, middle row dex, bottom row quick. So if you plan your team out in a certain way, or if you have just a way to get matching orbs, that's actually really, really good. But most of the time, you're not really going to be using him. Wipe is trash. Mr. 7 is trash. Kobe's trash. Alvida, another orb booster, but not really that good. Apu, he's an attack booster for the free spirit class, 1.75 times. So there's that. Dory or Broggy, I can't remember his name. I think that's Dory. This Frankie's trash. Broggy's trash. Yokozuna is trash. Kid is trash. So a lot of people say, you know, Coliseum Kid's really good. That is not the right Coliseum Kid. However, he does have a very unique type of special where he consumes all of your strength orbs and then he does damage to the enemy. Like, it's cool, but like nothing amazing. Sadie is trash. Doberman is trash. Ace is sort of niche. You won't really be using him too much, but he is a damage reducer and he reduces the cooldowns of your free spirit characters. A lot of times back in the day, people would use him to kind of speed up their teams. But I'd say more often than not, you're never really going to be using this Ace. Beckman's trash. Vista's trash. Paulie's trash. Capone's trash. Brownbeard's trash. Lulu's trash. Jozu, I would say, is kind of niche. Now, the reason for that is because if you rainbow him out and you max him out with these copies and rainbow the character, his special ability is an AoE type of special. So we can just quickly go ahead and pull him up on the database. If I could type on the search bar, Jozu, strength. This guy right here. So his special ability does 30 times his attack and strength damage to all enemies. If your HP is below 30% when you launch the special, everyone gets a 1.5 attack boost. That doesn't really matter. This is what you'd be using him for because he's like an AoE type of special, but it's not really that big of an AoE. If you have Rare Recruit Elizabello rainbowed out, that's more often than not what you're going to be using. So I'm going to say he's trash for now. Killer is trash. Mushuru is trash. Saga is also trash. X-Drake is trash. Zephyr is a 1.75 times attack booster, if I'm not mistaken. Let me go ahead and have a look really quick. Reduces the HP, your crew's current HP by 80%, deals 10 times the amount of HP subtracted as Titleist damage, and Strength and Int get 1.75 times attack. Yeah, I would leave him here. That's not a terrible special. That's actually a special that could see play, but it's just there's so many other rare recruits, legends, etc. that are just generically better characters that provide more to your team, but Zephyr is an option. Iron is not very good. Bins is not very good. Gecko Moria, I would say, is sometimes used. Now, I say that because this guy, Gecko Moria, I believe it's this Gecko Moria. He should have double special activation, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he does have double special activation. So he changes his own orb into Dex, and he does 300,000 fixed damage to one enemy. I don't really want to put him in sometimes used because he really isn't used that much, but he's actually pretty good because you can launch 2 hits of 300k fixed. It's a nice special. It's not something you're going to be using too often, but it's just kind of there. Foxy's not very good. Porsche not very good. Garnfor not good. Ohm. Brindy World, I'd say it's hard to place Brindy World. I'd say he's kind of in the sometimes used because there aren't that many good free-to-play shooter units. For those of you who don't know what Brindy World does, he is a 2 times attack booster for the shooter class. If I could find where he is. Brindy World, he has a really high cooldown though. 16 turns is kind of high. He reduces your crew's HP, but then you do get a 2x attack boost to shooters. His captain ability is a 3.25, or up to a 3.25 shooter attack booster. I wouldn't put him in the sometimes used. I'd probably just put him in niche, because even though he's a shooter attack booster, shooters are just kind of bad anyway, so there's that. Oars is not good, Marco is not good, Dome is not good, Shura is not good, Lao G is not good, no. Okay, now we get to a character that's actually pretty good. Kinnimon's pretty nice because he changes adjacent orbs into matching, and he reduces the cooldowns of slashes and free spirits. He's a really, really low cooldown, 5 turns, I believe. He has 5 socket spots, so you can just literally launch his special multiple times per run, get lots of matching orbs and cooldowns. He isn't used that much anymore, so I'm tempted to put him down into niche, but he's just kind of there. You've got the Marigold's not very good. Now, Conjurer, I'd say, is also a niche character. He's not bad. All he does is orb manipulation. So in the current day and age, he's not that good. But back in the day, he was pretty nice to give you some orbs. But he's not that good. Just mind you, that Conjurer is not very good. This Chopper is not very good. Gidatsu, Dellinger, Margaret, Gladius, I would say, is a sometimes used character. This is one I'm confident in putting in the sometimes used. Now, the reason why I say that is because he's actually a 1.75 color affinity. Yeah, he does damage to all enemies, reduces bind and despair by 2 turns, and shooter color affinity by 1.75. Like, that's a pretty decent special. The only thing is his cooldown is relatively high, but I do think that it's a pretty good position to put him in the sometimes used tier. Then you got Dalton's not very good, Diamante's not good, T-Bone's not good. Gin is sometimes used. I'd say he's a niche unit because he reduces your striker character's cooldowns, I believe. He was another character used a decent amount back in the day, who would help you just kind of speedrun content. And what else does he do? Yeah, 500 fixed damage to all enemies. So you can actually use him on stages that have all of those enemies with high defense and low HP. He can just wipe the floor with those characters. Relatively low cooldown for a special cooldown reducer as well. So he's a niche character. You're not really going to be using him, but it's an option. This guy is actually not terrible. I'd probably put him in the sometimes used. This guy, he's a 25% health cutter, and he reduces damage taken. I think it's by 70% for 1 turn. So damage reducer and health cutter, pretty good unit overall. He's got good classes as well. Kuro, I'd put in the niche characters tier. He reduces bind and despair, if I remember correctly. There's a lot of these older characters that not too many people use, but like, yeah, I remember when they first came out, they weren't terrible. Bind and despair by 2 turns, and for slasher and cerebral characters, randomizes non-matching orbs and give himself a matching orb. Yeah, not great, but it's better than a lot of these characters here, that's for sure. No, Miss Valentine is bad. Ideo is not very good, despite him being a 2x orb booster. He's not a good character. This Don Krieg is not very good. You're not good. You are probably in a niche character. You are a conditional booster against delayed enemies, if I'm not mistaken. That can be used in some content, but not very good. Arlong's not good. Blenheim's not good. Hardridden is very similar to the Gecko Mori, where he does fixed damage, but he also reduces enemies' barriers, so that's pretty cool. Ryuma's not good. Orlumbus is not good. Oh, by the way, Orlumbus Coliseum is very difficult, and he's not a good unit either, so it's not even worth it. This Helmeppo is actually not bad. He's a 1.75 attack booster for the slasher and driven class, and he's a healer. That's not a terrible kit for this character. Now, Shiryu, I think, is actually, I would almost put him as a good character. I actually think Coliseum Shiryu is very, very good. So for those who don't know what he does, very briefly, we're going to go through this. He will go ahead and instantly defeat enemies that have 75 times his attack or less in terms of their health, which I think equates to about like 150,000 or less HP. He can instantly defeat them. He removes all poison, and for 3 turns, you take half damage. It's a really good special ability. A lot of people use this guy. Good classes being slasher driven. He's a good unit. Like, Shiryu's just good. Then we got McGuy, who I'd put in the niche character. He's a delayer. He's not great, I'll admit, but, you know, he's just kind of there. Thunderlord McGuy, delays all enemies for 2 turns. Yeah, he's not very good. He's probably not worth it, honestly. Mark Weiss, I would probably put in sometimes, but the thing is, you don't really see him play that much. Reduces chain multiply limit by 5 turns, and is a 1.75 striker color affinity booster. Like, that's good. But for mono striker, not really so much. If you're bringing a unit dedicated to remove the chain multiply limit, typically it's going to be a much better character compared to this. You could probably bring just like Ray Judge, right? Ray Judge just does what he does, but he's better. He's a better color affinity booster. He just does it for like more colors and stuff. You could bring Raid Cracker as an example as well. So he's kind of gone out of favor of players, but he's not terrible. Then you've got Icaros is not good. Kyros is a niche character, gives you adjacent orbs matching and is a 1.5 times orb booster. You've got this Inu who I'd say is trash. No, he's basically like Legend Cavendish, but like shit, basically. Neko is 100% a must-max Coliseum character, gives you a full border matching orbs, and if I think he's a 1.75 attack booster as well. Yeah, full border matching orbs and a 1.75 attack booster to your striker and powerhouse characters if the enemy has delay immunity or full immunity. Very, very, very powerful free-to-play unit. Very low cooldown as well. I think it's like a 9-turn cooldown. It's ridiculous. Such a powerful free-to-play unit. You should definitely max Coliseum Neko Mamashi whenever he is available. Coliseum Lucy, I would say, is a good character. He's a health cutter and he's an orb booster. He's decent. He's a pretty good unit. Then you've got Coliseum Sicilian, who is a sometimes used character. He's a 2x attack booster for int. He halves your crew's HP as well. He randomizes all your orbs, including block orbs as well, so you can get rid of those. He's a pretty decent unit overall. Raizo, I would say, is a niche character. He's a conditional booster against delayed enemies, but he doesn't really see that much play, honestly. He's just overly not that great. Coliseum Eneru is 100% a must-max Coliseum unit. He has great utility. He gives himself a matching orb, and he can potentially chain boost your crew as well if your captain is a driven character, which is not very difficult to do these days. So that's pretty good. So especially if you've got like Bullet, for example, yeah, this guy is going to be really, really good. So there's that. Then you've got Pedro. He's a color affinity booster for Cerebral. I would say he's sometimes used. He's not a terrible unit overall. I believe he reduces your crew's HP as well. It's been a long time, personally, since I've actually used Pedro myself, but I remember when he first came out, he was very, very good. Yeah, so he reduces your crew by 95%, 50 times attack and tightless damage to all enemies. That ignores all damage negating abilities and barriers, and then you get 2 turns of a 1.75 Cerebral color affinity. So that's pretty good. I do think that he deserves to be in this position, but then again, if you've got Sabo and Coalla, typically you can just rely on their switch ability to get color affinity, or if you've got Vivi and Rebecca, that's another better option for that. Plus, he's a health reducer. Back in the day, Cerebrals wanted to be at low HP. Nowadays, that's not really a big deal anymore. So, yeah, he's good, but not overly used that much. Coliseum Rayleigh, I would also put in the sometimes used tier. He's a really good utility unit. He's also a beneficial orb enabler, if I remember correctly. Coliseum Rayleigh. So, yeah, HB reducer, reduces bind and special bind by 3 turns, and he resists it by 3 turns, which is good. Boosts the chance of getting Dex Sign int for 3 turns and makes them beneficial to Free Spirit for 3 turns. Really good utility unit. You definitely want to get him maxed. He's only used sometimes, though. If you've got really powerful Free Spirit teams, like ideally Sabo Coalla, then you would definitely want to get this guy maxed, that's for sure. Burgess is a niche unit. He's an attack booster for the fighter class. He's not great, but there's that. Then you got Coliseum Kid. Yes, he's a must-max Coliseum unit. You need to max him out. By the way, these are not in any particular order, by the way. They're just the order of that we're going through them. All these 3, for sure, you need to max them out. Coliseum Kid, one of the most useful characters in the game. I believe he's also available in Friend Point Rare Recruit as well, so you can use your Friend Points to potentially pull copies of this guy, which is pretty good. Then you've got Coliseum Neptune, who I would also agree to be one of a must-max character as well. He removes Despair by 5 turns. He removes Resilience by 5 turns. He also will be a 1.75 Orb booster for Cerebral and Powerhouse, which both of those classes are probably the best classes in the game on Global. What else does he do? He removes Resilience as well. He reduces enemy defense. He just does so much. This Neptune is so good. You need to max him out. He's so, so good. Then you've got Coliseum Opera. I actually don't remember too much about what Opera did. I think I'd put him in this tier. I can't remember too much about what Opera does. I know he has a decent support ability that sees play. 20% health cut if you have 5 more fighters. Reduce increased damage taken, blindness, and despair by 7 turns. Delays by 1 turn. He doesn't really see that much play, but as I said, he does have a decent support attached to any fighter. Once per adventure, when the supported character uses a damage dealing or health cutting special, you just reduce 2 turns of despair. Like, that's pretty decent, but he doesn't see that much play. I would probably put him in the niche tier for now, because he is definitely better than these characters in here. Kuma is another character I would 100% say is a must-max Coliseum. He has great utility that sees a lot of play in a lot of different treasure maps as well. I know a lot of people complain when I use Kuma in treasure maps, but like, he's good. He just removes so many defensive effects, and it's really nice to have, right? So, reduces Threshold and Rainbow Shield by 3 turns, adjacent orbs into recovery, and then he does other effects. Like, this whole part of his special doesn't really see that much play. It's mainly just this. Like, this is fantastic. The ability to reduce Threshold and Rainbow Shield by 3 turns by himself is so good. You need to get him maxed for sure. Then you've got Daifuku, who does not see that much play, but he is better than everyone in this bottom tier here. He does like different things depending on what colored orbs are on your team when you activate the special, and he's not that great. So he's there, he's okay, but he's not great. Same with the Tamago Coliseum. Like, he does a lot of different things depending on what orb your captain has. It's very, very interesting the way that they decided to structure this character. He's not bad, but he just doesn't see that much play. He's not that useful. Coliseum Oven is a good character. He will essentially give you a full board of matching orbs depending on the situation. He also is an orb booster for multiple different turns for Strength X and Quick. Really, really good. Coliseum Oven is a very nice character to have. Coliseum Magellan. Yes, you need to max Coliseum Magellan. One of the best free-to-play characters in the game. A self-proccing conditional booster. He reduces enemy defense to 0. He reduces enemy threshold. I think he removes Rainbow Shield as well. Like, Coliseum Magellan is just a god. You need to max him out. So powerful. Then you've got Coliseum Smoothie. I would put in the good characters tier. She is a beneficial orb enabler and a color affinity booster. I think it's for 3 turns for both Slasher and Powerhouse class. Very good to have. Smoothie's very, very nice. So max her out for sure. Coliseum Pika is a sometimes used character. I wouldn't put him in the niche tier because there are certain things that he can only do. And that's really, really nice to have this guy maxed out. So for that reason, I would put him in the sometimes used tier, but I wouldn't like overly prioritize Coliseum Pika. He is just a character that's used on very, very, very specific content, but he's there. He's definitely worth maxing out. Coliseum Katakuri is a niche character or even a sometimes used character. He's in this tier somewhere. All he does is give you beneficial orb enable for a couple of turns, and if there's like more than 4 enemies, he guarantees a delay against all of them. So that's kind of cool, but not overly used that much. Brook is trash. I don't care what you say. Brook is a very trash Coliseum. You've got the Dofi and Treble dual unit. They are a good character. Multiple turns of a chain lock. They've got a decent switch ability as well. The captain ability is somewhat usable, I would say. So yeah, I think that dual Dofi Treble is a good character. Yeah, for sure. Coliseum Morley, I would probably put in the must max tier. A self-proccing conditional booster for multiple turns that can proc on multiple different stages, which is ridiculous. He removes Threshold. He removes Resilience. He's a really good unit. You need to max Coliseum Morley. Very difficult Coliseum though. Jinbei is a good character. He removes Threshold on the enemy. He applies Threshold to your own team so you can tank damage. He's a chain booster. He's really good. Then you got Coliseum Law, who removes Special Bind. He's an attack booster for Slasher and Cerebral, or one of those 2 classes. I don't actually remember. Law. I think he's a Slasher and Cerebral attack booster. Yeah, he is. Yes, Slashers and attack. Slasher and Cerebral get 2 times attack, and if you're below 30%, you get a 70% HP recovery, which is pretty good. He reduces the Assance and attack down. I didn't realize he reduced attack down as well. Okay, yeah, this unit's very good. I don't know if he's must max because he doesn't see that much play, but he's good. He's really, really good. Then you've got Coliseum Hody Jones. I would also put as a very, very good character. He's a health cutter. He reduces Bind, Despair, and Special Bind. Really good. Just good utility and a health cut. Can't really go wrong. This Oars is also very good, reducing attack down, threshold. I don't remember exactly what he does. Exactly. I think it was like if he does something if you have a certain amount of fighters on your team, if I remember correctly. If there are 6 fighters on your crew, increases the duration of attack boosting buffs. That's interesting. That doesn't see that much play, but it's cool. He reduces increased damage taken as well. It does a lot of damage too, goddamn. So yeah, this Oars just does a lot of damage and really good utility, so he's great. Great class as well. He's Fighter Powerhouse, if I remember. Yeah, Fighter Powerhouse, great class combination. And the final character that just came out on Global is Kiyoshiro. I'm struggling to really put this guy somewhere because like, he is decent, but I don't think he's gonna see that much play. So he could be here, but I think leaving him here for now is probably the best bet. So this is where I'm at right now. This is where I think all of the characters in One Piece Treasure Cruise Global would be placed in my personal listings for Coliseum. So basically, that top row with Neko, NL, Kid, Neptune, Kuma, Magellan, and Morley, all of those characters are characters you need to max out. They are so useful on so many pieces of content. The one below that, you've got Shiryu, Lucy, Oven, Smoothie, Dofi, Treble, Jimbei, Law, Hody, Oz, and Kiyoshiro. All of them are really good units, but the ones above them are just far superior in like every way. Some of these characters are more useful for certain things. Like this Smoothie I've been using a lot on like other treasure maps and stuff like that. Hody Jones is really good for utility and stuff. Like all of them have their own places to be, but I feel like the ones in the top row are the ones that you're going to see play a lot of the time. But there you go. There's the rest of the characters. Hopefully this helps you guys out in terms of which are the best Coliseum units to max out. So basically, if any of these characters in the top like 3 rows are available, you should probably get to maxing them out because they're going to be really good. Or at least the top 2 rows. The top 2 row characters are like characters you see play a lot of the time. And of course, they're the most recent ones, of course. There are a couple of old ones like Neko's kind of old now. Lucy's kind of old. Shiryu's very, very old now. So there are some older ones there, but a majority of them are the newer ones, which are a little bit more difficult. But hopefully this guys helped you out. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I will see you guys within the next video.